Hi everybody, meteorologist Dave Hovde live from the KSBY newsroom, where it has obviously been a very, very busy day, especially overnight into early this morning. As we expected, this was going to be the main focus of the storm system. We're not entirely done yet. There still is one more boundary passing through the area. It's mostly in northern parts of San Luis Obispo now. It's going to sweep across the south coast. And I think the system, in essence, really does start wrapping up as we get into about the midnight hour. So we're not done yet, but of course what we've seen here is all of that precipitation that fell, that 1 to 2, 3 inches of rain that fell into last evening, that all saturated the ground. And so what we saw overnight and into today, everything kind of just running on top of that and running into creeks and swift water rescues and all of that really came down quite hard as we were going through the morning hours, creating all kinds of swift water rescues and accidents up and down the area. The one fatality that we know of actually occurred yesterday with that accident out off 41. And today at 4 o'clock, officials in Santa Barbara County are going to be holding a press conference. We're going to share that with you live on KSBY television today to get you the latest on the evacuations. I imagine there is a repopulating plan that they want to talk about. They probably want to talk about their feelings about whether or not this was a successful plan. It'd be very interesting to hear from those folks down there. Again, I think it was well warranted when you consider how much rain has fallen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about what's left with this system, and then we're going to kind of rewind a little bit, talk about the amount of rainfall that happened. And I want to welcome everybody who's signed in here, 200 people plus already with this Facebook Live. We really appreciate all of you following and sharing your information with us. I've got to tell you, excuse me, so many great reports, rain reports of people's rain gauges, seeing a lot of reports of close to 5 inches of rain up and down the Central Coast. To just review a little bit, though, our forecast was 2 to 6 for the coast, and we've seen that, definitely seen that. The thing maybe you're going to be a little shy on is some of the totals, the high-end totals, up to 10 inches in the mountains. I think that Rocky Butte area is going to be really interesting to check in and see what that ultimately ended up with. So maybe a little less showing up in those mountain areas, but for the coast, I think it was a really good forecast. And again, I think we always identified that window of last night into early this morning as the key time frame. So I think, just reading a lot of Facebook commentary, there are folks saying that, this system was a dud. It was a 3-day system, and it was going to be on at times and off at times, and I think we really did pretty well in terms of identifying the window where the heaviest rain happened. But, of course, there's always feedback about that, and we welcome it, folks. We really do welcome it. So we know that these forecasts have to work for you, so thank you, everybody, for sharing your feelings, whether or not you like what we're doing or not. So we appreciate that. Okay, I want to jump in. We're going to take a look at the modeling here. I want to show you what's left of this system, and then we're going to kind of work our way back through Doppler radar and some of the rainfall totals. So let's jump into that here on the weather computer. So give me a moment. Appreciate your patience. How's my keyboard doing? Okay, here we go. At least I have a tripod here. All right, let's make this window a little larger here. Apologize for some of just the background noise of the newsroom. That's something that happens in a newsroom. We're listening to the scanners here. So I'm just kind of inputting some of the information, 5-day forecast and everything. So let's switch over to the modeling, and I want to show you what's going on with the system in the hours to come. So right now we have a line moving through San Luis Obispo County and also another line moving through Santa Barbara County. Between now and, say, 5 o'clock, we still have this possibility on the south coast of picking up some enhanced rainfall with the rain rates up to about 1/2 inch per hour. We still have the flash flood watch out for burn areas. However, a number of watches and advisories have expired. The wind advisory has expired. Also, the aerial flood warnings over the area have also expired. So we're actually dealing with a limited number of advisories right now. But again, all this rainfall we're seeing, additional rainfall, will all fall on areas where we are saturated. So it's all interesting to note. All right, this other line, the line that's still north of the Cuesta grade, moves through the Central Coast of the 101 just after the commute and through the South Coast into about the 11 o'clock hour. And as I indicated a little bit earlier there, midnight and beyond, we're out of this thing. So most of tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. There's a chance Saturday of picking up a few scattered showers. There's some instability moving in, a larger upper-level trough. It's going to actually continue to cool us down, so we'll take a look at some of the temperatures as well. But to just sort of round it out, I'd say daytime high is going to be roughly 60 degrees as we get into Saturday and Sunday. So So you can see just a few scattered showers. I don't think it's going to ruin your weekend. I certainly wouldn't scrub plans based on a few showers here and there, but it is something we're going to deal with. How much additional rainfall could we see on top of what we've already seen? Essentially anywhere between light or no amounts, especially as you go further north here, outside of the area, to as much as, say, 3/4 or 8/10 of an inch. That would be with what's left of the system. We can't rule out the possibility of thunderstorms still with the system because we have a lot of moisture here. It is cold, unstable air. Let's take a look at the Doppler radar right now. This is a scan of the last 6 hours. You can see the axis of main moisture here, right here. This was what we were in last night and early this morning. Now we're behind the main band of this atmospheric river, but there's a trough in here in the upper atmosphere that is swinging through. So some colder air is now interacting with what was really this subtropical air mass and is squeezing out more in the way of rainfall. I'm going to just put this on the very current frames here. So, I drove to work a little while ago here down the Cuesta Grade. It was very interesting travel in here. Now that main band of showers is moving through San Luis Obispo. It's straddling San Luis into Santa Maria. It is going to continue to move this direction across Santa Barbara County as we go through into, say, now to midnight. But this is the last real gasp of this system because we're going to get into the air behind it. Let me show you that. So just kind of coming out. This is the air behind the system. All of this in here, that in there, and you can see behind that front, there isn't much. This is all high-level cloud cover. So again, pretty quiet. Where does that Saturday activity come from? It comes from this cold, unstable air pinwheeling around this upper-level low that is swinging into the Pacific Northwest. So the daytime highs in some of the interior are going to drop into the 50s. Okay, let's get into some of the real information here. I know what a lot of people want to talk about, and that is rainfall amounts. I'm going to switch to a different computer to show you some of that. Computer, right there. Oops, sorry. That's not going to help. Let's take a look at the rainfall map. This is live and updating, so we are getting a lot of great reports from all of you folks, and we definitely appreciate that. But let's just kind of look in here and start with the burn areas in Santa Barbara County and the South Coast. You can see a number of the totals here. This is just 24 hours. I'm going to change this over to the 4-day rainfall, or the, let's see, where is that? 4-day rainfall. That covers the totality of the event. It's going to take a minute to refresh. There we go. Now you're seeing in the Santa Barbara area between 2 and 3.5, 3.6 inches of rain in there. Thomas Fire burn scar identified there in the maroon. You can see a number of the totals up in the mountains there. 4, 5 inches of rain up in here. 5 inches of rain right along that Ventura County border. So again, rain rates also a key here. A lot of this did sort of slowly accumulate. Then we saw a bit of a pulse, but you know, we're all saturated in here. So that last push, even though we're only talking about half an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of additional rain, it's all going to fall on areas that are very sensitive at this time. So just going to move up here into the Santa Ynez Valley. You can see basically 2.5, 2 3/4 inches of rain. The Los Alamos area may have seen as much as 3 1/4 inches of rain. The Vandenberg area, about 3 inches of rain there. That little road outside of Vandenberg up toward Orcutt, 3.7 inches of rain there. Orcutt, 2.68 inches of rain. These are storm cumulative. It's interesting. Santa Maria has this little hill by Casmalia, and sometimes in these southwest events, Santa Maria ends up in a bit of a rain shadow, and that may be the case here. You can see some lower totals, only 2 inches of rain, though you get just outside of that shadow up toward Nopomo, and you get into that 3.5 inches of rain. I've seen all kinds of reports from the 5 cities up to 4 inches of rain. There you can see Shell Beach, 3.4 inches of rain. You start getting up into the hills here out by Lopez, and you're looking at 4.5 inches of rain. San Luis Obispo area picking up about 4.5 inches of rain. Out by Morro Bay, storm total 5 inches of rain. Moving up into North County, Templeton, 5 inches of rain. Again, this is a 4-day total here. Along Highway 41 up in the higher elevations there, potentially as much as 8 inches of rain. And Rocky Butte, always the local winner of rainfall, those southwest winds. This is out by San Simeon, up in the hills, roughly 3,000 feet up. 10.29 inches of rain. The Cambria area, 4.65 inches of rain. So I know a lot of folks ask about Paso Robles. We have to use the Weather Service gauge. For some reason, they don't map it here, but it's going to be pretty similar to the Templeton area. I was looking sort of at the numbers. We're asking, does this solve some of our season rainfall woes? Is this a true miracle March? We saw a ton of rain with this event, no question about it. Does it erase the deficits? It's not going to. We're going to still be a little bit short. Not much in the extended forecast outside of this event. So looking into next week, the daytime highs start to creep back up to about the lower 70s. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to point the camera out into what we're seeing in San Luis Obispo. And then I'm just going to scroll through some of your comments and probably make a few comments of my own based on your questions. So, just kind of scrolling through here. Give me a minute, folks. Okay. Hi, Jocelyn and David and Ann. Appreciate that. Oh, get my, let's move this just a hair. Move around a little bit here. Show you San Luis Obispo. Just moving through your comments here. Thank you very much, folks who are saying about the appreciation for all the updates. I want to give great kudos to all of our reporters in the field and a lot of the folks, the staff back here at KSBY management, who've been facilitating all of us getting out in the field, being able to provide this coverage for you. There's a lot of folks, you don't know them by name, but they do great work here at KSBY, keeping you up to date, working on those websites and the web updates, and can't thank everybody enough, our directing crew, production crew as well. All right, lots of great comments here. 5.15 inches of rain so far at Garden Farms. Great report, appreciate that. Julie Weist, thank you very much for watching here. Pouring down still at Henry's in Santa Barbara. Appreciate the report. Thanks for watching on the South Coast as well. 6 inches in the Wasna Valley. Thank you, Miranda, for that report, passing it along. Santa Maria by the high school, 2.6 inches of rain. Great report. Thank you very much for that. Just continue to move through here. 5 inches in Morro Basins Tuesday. Mike Kirby, thank you for that report. Great report. A lot of folks are saying thank you for the updates. And, I got to say, we can't do it without you. Really appreciate all your viewership and your comments and your pictures. Just fantastic. 10 inches of rain in my rain gauge in Santa Margarita. It's interesting. I drive the grade every day, and every time you get a kind of a south wind event up toward the top of the grade, there is a little bit of immediate lift there. If you have your gauge in the right spot, I don't doubt that at all, George. It's always real wet, right? Yeah, a few spots there right at the top of the grade. 4 inches on Happy Hill in Cambria. So again, with some of the numbers we looked at, I like that. We do get a lot of questions, and thank you, by the way, for these questions about the lake levels. Obviously, we're still dealing with just adding up the total amount of rainfall. We will look at those lake levels. We'll get you an update on all of that when we have time to get to that. Of course, today we're just trying to get some kind of coverage of these immediate things, the flooding and the accidents and everything. So we're on it. We get it, and we will definitely get into that. 3 inches in the Shandon area. Thank you very much for that report. Appreciate that. Just a story here about 4 inches of rain out in the pasture. Jennifer Rose up from North County. Appreciate that. No rain in Vandenberg and Lompoc right now by FC Rojas. Yeah, a little bit of a gap in there right now. Appreciate that. Nacimiento, somebody just saying hello from out there. Heritage Ranch, 3.8 inches in 2 days. 2 inches last night alone. Great report. Thank you very much for that, passing that along. 4.5 inches in Santa Margarita from another report. 3.8 inches at Heritage Ranch. 4.5 in Santa Margarita in town. Fantastic reports by... Boy, I've got to tell you, just the last comment here coming in about the driving conditions. So we're going to head into the commute here in the evening. The roadways are treacherous, and even though the rainfall might let up here for a little bit, Again, I can't tell you, I've already seen some spinouts. I saw one right on my way to work today. So please, folks, be careful. But I do have to say, in terms of like the public response and what we saw in the prep for this storm, I think everybody did a great job. I think across Santa Barbara County, having to bug out, I know people are really tired of doing that, but just the safety element here, a lot of people were listening to the forecast, and it was really heartening to see that people have stayed out of trouble for the most part. And I think the folks who did the sandbagging and all of that, I credit all of you for staying informed and for watching this. And, you know, we would appreciate you being part of our KSBY family and sharing information with us. And we can't thank you enough. So, again, a lot more coming up. We've got that press conference at 4 o'clock. Karina is here, and she will be tossing over to that. That's with Santa Barbara officials about what their plans are down there. Again, a real quick snapshot of this forecast. One last little blast here. Again, on top of saturated ground, it won't be a ton of new rain. Looking at maybe 1/10 of an inch to as much as 3/4 of an inch additional rainfall, depending on where you live. And then we're done with this thing. Roughly 9, 10 o'clock, we're going to start seeing stuff winding down in SLO County even earlier than that, into the afternoon. But across Santa Barbara County, I think it's really after midnight. Maybe a few slight showers on Saturday, but otherwise, the extended forecast is still looking pretty good for the weekend and beyond. I know a lot of folks kind of want to get out there and kind of want to start doing things again, and we appreciate that. Okay, so many people hanging on through the entirety of this. I appreciate that. We hope you have a great day and a safe commute. And again, please watch our continuing coverage. Have a great day.